Hello and welcome to the third of our lecture recaps for ACCA P7 Advanced Audit and Assurance. This lecture was on appointments and quality. So when we're accepting engagement then, what do we need to do? Well, the ACCA tell us that we have to ask ourselves, do we want to work for this client? You then need to ask, do you want to do this engagement for this client? And we'll see how you ask those questions shortly. You'll then agree the terms and set them out in an engagement letter, which we'll look at in more detail. You have to consider the ethical threats. If they're insignificant, it may be that you can implement safeguards and continue with the engagement. If they're too great though, you'll have to decline the engagement. You'll have to assess the competence of your firm to undertake the work required, and remember that competition equals pressure. So don't promise things that you can't deliver just because you have competition for the audit. Some procedures you have to go through. First of all, when you're offered nomination, you need to request from the client to contact the existing auditor. If the client refuses this, decline the audit. If permission is given, you'll ask the previous auditor for all information pertaining to the client. The previous auditor will have to ask the client to speak to the new auditor, and if that's refused, again decline the engagement. You will discuss all of the information with the previous auditor to make sure there's no reason that you shouldn't undertake the audit. The etiquette letter then. This is to the previous auditor. It's a professional courtesy and it's to ensure you deal with the ethical requirements. The principles surrounding this, well, first of all, you must get permission from the client before you've sent it, as we have discussed. If you don't get a reply, send it again, this time by recorded delivery. When you get a reply, consider all the information that is given to you to decide whether you should undertake the engagement. Remember that outstanding fees may be okay, it's not necessarily a reason that you can't undertake it. You need to find out why they're outstanding and if there's been a disagreement. So those are all the things surrounding accepting the engagement. What about the terms of the engagement? Well, they're set out under ACCA 210. Under this ACCA you've got to agree the terms in the form of an engagement letter. This will set out firstly the scope, objective and limitations of the audit to ensure that all parties understand what's expected of them. It'll set out the responsibilities, first of the directors and secondly of the auditors. It'll also set out the form of all reports and communications. It'll set out the practical arrangements, i.e. the timetable, if there's going to be an interim audit, all those sorts of things, and it'll tell you what the fee is going to be. One point to note here, if you have a group audit, you may have a single letter, and if you have a single letter for a group audit, you need to make sure that you identify all the singular components of that group within the letter. What about if there's any changes to the terms then? For example, there could be changes in legislation, there could be changes in the ICEs, or you could be offering different or other services to the client. Well, under these examples, you would have to issue a new engagement letter that would supersede the original. So those are the terms of the audit engagement. What about books and papers? Who has the rights to all the information generated? Well, we're talking here about all types of information. That includes computer backups, all the paper, all the electronic information, everything. Client information must be returned to the client unless it's under a lien, which we'll look at in a second or two. If it's auditor information, the client has no right of access to it and the auditor retains it. Now, that lien that we were talking about, a lien is when you're maybe owed fees, you have the right to keep the records. A general lien is a lien over just the general information for fees outstanding, so you can keep it until all amounts are paid. A particular lien, which is more common, regards work actually performed and agreed for. The fee note will have been sent to the client but not paid, so the work has to be performed and the fee agreed but not paid. In those situations you can hold those particular documents relating to that work, and the papers must have been held by proper means. So this brings us on to quality control. Why do we need quality control throughout the audit? Well, we want to reduce the risk of inappropriate opinions, and we want to increase confidence in the financial statements and in our audit firm. Two pieces of regulation that will apply to quality: International Standard on Quality Control 1 and ACCA 220. Both of these relate to quality, and we'll have dealt a little bit about ethics and so on, which will pertain to quality. Leadership then. For example, there must be training, meetings, dialogue and briefings throughout the firm to ensure that quality is upheld. Points to note on this: there are no fast bucks. You can't just undertake the audit as quickly as possible to get your audit fee. It's got to be done correctly. Quality work also leads to rewards. You've got to reward your staff in the form of pay and benefits if they are producing quality work, and you must fully resource the staff to provide quality, because quality needs resources. Human resources then. What we've got to ask ourselves in human resources are, what do we need, or who do we need? You then got to recruit those people, develop them and reward them properly as discussed. During the actual engagement then, firstly during the planning stage, how are we going to uphold quality? Well, we're going to get the right people, we're going to train them, we're going to make sure that they're experienced, and they're going to be fully and properly briefed. When it comes to the work, we're going to make sure that we have a risk focus and that we target those risks. In consultation, you may have to consult with management on contentious matters, and you may have to consult external advisors if you don't have the expertise. Independence. Well, at the planning stage we've got to make sure we're independent, discuss it at the planning stage and implement safeguards if they're required. Throughout the engagement we've got to have supervision. These will review the planning decisions made at the planning stage. They'll make sure that the staff are sufficiently experienced, assess the progress of the audit, and make sure that any unforeseen risks are dealt with. We then will have the review stage of the audit. The role of a review is to first of all identify any problems that have come up. Secondly, to ensure that we have sufficient appropriate evidence. And lastly, to check if there's more work that needs to be done. Two types. First of all, a hot review. A hot review is a review before the report is issued. What files will need a hot review? Well, any listed company files under ISA 220 will need a hot review. Any in the public interest also, and any risky firms that you audit will require a hot review. Why do we have a hot review? Well, really what we're trying to do is ensure that we have made quality judgments. So we're looking at the quality of the judgments made. Particularly we're going to look at the judgments over independence, the risks that have been assessed, the treatment of any misstatements, and the conclusions that we've made. We need to make sure that all those judgments have sufficient quality. This is opposed to a cold review. A cold review is made after the reporting date, and a cold review focuses on monitoring the quality, checking that quality has been undertaken throughout the audits, or if there's any deficiencies. If there are deficiencies, we've then got to make recommendations to ensure that they're dealt with. We need to monitor all of these processes. So what we'll do is we'll set policies, we'll make sure that those policies are effective, we'll make sure that they're being complied with, and we'll get feedback to check that they're sufficient. So that was our lecture on appointments and quality.